All right, so this week you are doing a magic kind of illusion. So you're going to be making this picture, this one that you can see right here. And you can do it kind of with whatever object you want, but the point is to practice two of the apps that we have at your disposal. You obviously should know a little bit better that Photoshop Mix, which allows you to kind of add layers together, just like in Photoshop. And this week you're going to be playing with an app called Photoshop Fix, which is actually kind of the combined liquify and content aware fill and the healing brush tool. So it adds all of those together. And basically you're going to clean up a picture, put two together, and it's going to make it look like that illusion that you just saw, that one. The one kind of addition to that is if you want to have a little fun, the liquify tool is also in Photoshop Fix. So you can play with that a little bit. You'll see that in the video. I'll try to speed up some of this because I basically walk you through everything I was doing to make my initial image. One thing I did find out was if you have an Apple Pencil, definitely use it when you're trying to cut out the image. I tried to do it with just my finger, and it's probably a lot of just me, but I couldn't quite get the line right cutting it out. You'll see that in the video. It was pretty rough. But the picture I just showed you right here, that one I did with the Apple Pencil, and it worked out much better. I'll post both so you can kind of see the one versus the other. So the directions are on Canvas. In this, obviously, tutorial, we'll go through those directions in kind of live form, plus how I set everything up. So I'm in my shop here, and I'm facing a little bit the problem that we had last time when I was doing the Clone Yourself project, and that is I need to set up my camera so that it can get a portrait of me on a timer, and it's got to be, you know, face height or a little bit taller. So you might use something like a bookcase or something like that to set it up at home. Obviously, if we had our normal equipment, you would definitely use a tripod. I'm just going to use my shelf over here, which I'll kind of show you here how my setup is. There it is. So you can see right here, I've just got my iPad on my shelf, and it's going to take a picture this way, and it's going to be a portrait of me. The one challenge I have is the lighting isn't very good where this is set up, so that's going to kind of dictate a little bit what I'm going to do. I might end up moving it, but that's just to kind of give you an idea, though, of how you might need to set this thing up so that you can get that self-portrait where you're going to be effectively kind of with your hand out like this. That's kind of the look you're going for. And maybe like this because you want to see your face a little bit. And then you're going to have something floating there. That's the idea anyway. So let's see how it goes, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I've moved my camera actually over to this location because I think the lighting's a little bit better. I don't like the background as much, but that's not going to matter too much. So the next thing you have to do is you have to get something that you're going to hold. Now, my vision for this is I've been thinking about holding a saw blade, but I'm a little bit nervous about that just slicing my hand and having a lot of blood, and then this video becomes something much different. So I'm going to use something that I'm going to show you. I'm going to use this 1, 2, 3 setup block. If you go into engineering, many of you super smart people out there, you might understand what this is. Certainly carpentry and things like that, you tend to know what this kind of thing is. And basically, a 1, 2, 3 block serves the purpose of having a 1 inch by 2 inches by 3 inches, and that it's precise and it's perfect. It's actually kind of heavy. I'm super obsessed with this. I just got this recently, so this is kind of fun. But I'm going to make this float, so that's kind of the goal here. And the key is, again, you got to think about your lighting. So if I'm standing right here, and my camera's right there, I need to make sure this is in the same lighting as me, or else it won't be believable to your audience. Okay, so you're back here, and you need your camera app. So we're gonna, at the bottom, I'm just gonna click on my camera app, and obviously you guys are familiar with all that, so I'm not gonna go through it. I have me, my beautiful outfit here. I'm doing some woodworking, so it's my woodworking outfit. And I'm gonna make this thing float. So there we go, this thing float. And so I just explained it on my earlier part of this video, of course, but that's what it looks like up close. Kind of fun, huh? It's all steel, nice and heavy.
So first I'm going to take my picture of me without it, just to make sure I have that lighting. And then the second one, I'm going to take a picture of me, or just the object, excuse me, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. Again, you're just going to have to play around. That's the fun part of any photography project. Okay, so here we go. Here we are. We'll do a little timer. I'm going to do 10 seconds again. And there we go. Now I look a little bit better. Again, the exposure on this is just lousy, but we'll try to fix that with... so to make it float, what I'm going to actually use is a pencil, okay? So what I want is, I really want this thing isolated by itself. The best light, there we go. And I want to have it floating just right so that the lighting, obviously you can see, is the same, but I don't want to be in the background, because just like what we practiced last week, and there we go, and see, notice now you don't see through the holes. If you see through the holes, it might give away that it's fake. But if and obviously if you don't have holes, this doesn't matter, but I'm gonna hold it just about like this, and it's at the right lighting, and the right size, I think. I could actually bring it closer because my hand was closer, so maybe I'll go like this. And then I'll take that picture and I can just crop it out effectively. And again, you don't have to get too far out of the way because you're just gonna move it. So I'm gonna go like this. It'll look nice and big, but the lighting's a little different. Let's go like that. I think that'll be good. Okay.
2 apps to make this mix. And those 2 apps are Photoshop Fix and Photoshop Mix. You can see both of those there. The first one I'm going to click on and utilize is Photoshop Fix because I want to edit me and make me look as good as possible for this image that I'll put together in Mix of the floating cube. So first things we need to do in Fix, and it'll give you like this tutorial and stuff when you first do it, and that's super great. There's a picture of me I was doing with my face. Okay, so let's find the one that I was going to use. I believe it's this one. There we go. Oh my gosh, looking so good. What a model. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is crop it. That's kind of my first step whenever I do any photography, is always crop first. There we go. I'm going to say that looks good. The next thing is the exposure is really jacked here, and as much as I can, I'm going to try to adjust that. There we go. Contrast, I'm going to just slide that to the right a little bit. You know what? I'm not going to mess with that too much. Warmth, there we go. I always like to be a little bit warmer. Saturation, I don't know. That's kind of fun if you desaturate it, excuse me. Okay, shadows, this is where we can kind of make some effects. And then highlights, let's drop these just a little bit. Okay. There we go. That's good. Okay, so you could liquefy. And this is just fun if you just want to spend some time, obviously, liquefying your face. I'm not going to do it for this, but you could totally like warp and swell things. So for instance, this is what celebrities do all the time. Like I could tighten up my waist, which is so ridiculous. I can make my hand bigger, do all that stuff. So whatever, let's keep that and see if those of you who don't watch the tutorial won't know it. So it's a little gem for you. Okay, and then obviously I can clear up stuff. I can do all this kind of different business. Now the thing you're wanting to do here is I wanted you to play around with like a bokeh effect. So once you've edited it somewhat, down at the bottom there's one that says defocus. And so what we're going to do is defocus this, and we're going to just paint everything except for my hand, because that should be in focus. And so you got to make sure, and it does it like right away, which is kind of interesting. But you're trying to create that bokeh effect, and we're just going to defocus all this. It should be, I should have just done the opposite. I think you can do that. And I think the more you paint it, so notice it's more red in some areas because I'm just going over it, and I can actually do more of a hardness. There we go. The more you do it, the more blurred out it gets. I'm pretty confident. Again, this is a new app to me as well, but we're gonna get this nice and blurred out everywhere to mimic that bokeh effect, or mimic what, of course, some of you do when you take portraits on your iPads, which is you do that portrait mode, and that's all they're doing. Is the program is doing this for you. And again, you might therefore ask the question, well, why don't we just have the program do this? You could totally do that if you have an iPad with like portrait mode. But the problem is, like, it's trying to use AI to detect your face, so that can be tricky. Okay, I'm not going to get crazy about trying to, whoops, except for don't do that, about trying to make that perfect, but it's kind of the idea. I might have gone a little bit too crazy on my face, and you can use this eraser to kind of restore it. Oh God, gross. Okay, but I'm just going to make it a little lighter on my face because you still kind of want to see your face. You don't want to see all the rest of this stuff. So I'm just going to really get that out of there. Make it really thick. Okay. Good. That's it. Okay, so now I've kind of done that. It's interesting looking. I'm going to actually put a vignette on it also, because with a vignette, you get that kind of like darker. Oh, there we go. A nice oval vignette. And let's bring it really, oh yes. This is fantastic. And let's kind of put it on me and the object. Oh yes, fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Oh my gosh, things are happening. Okay, so now this is good. I think this is good enough. We'll say, let's keep this on my camera roll. So at the top, click that little, what is that, a rectangle with an up arrow. We're gonna save it to the camera roll. And now we're gonna go over to our Photoshop mix, which you are now familiar with. So I shouldn't have to tell you this too much or play with this too much. Hopefully you had fun with that Clone Yourself project. And I'm gonna start your project with an image. I'm gonna go right here, I have it now. Okay, there we go, looking so good. It's so cheesy. And then another image, I need my block on a stick. Okay, resize. It's just saying like, hey, is it the right size? And that's fine. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is what we learned last week, which is just gonna zoom in. I'm gonna do the cutout. And I just want this thing. And I wanna go basic. It's trying to do auto. Now I wanna go minus. It got some of the side. And the goal is, though, you want to make this as sharp as possible. That creates the illusion. So take your time, and because you're watching me do this, I'm not going to take the time as much, just because that's boring to watch. But take your time to really cut that out nicely, and if you have to go back, you can go back and do, and I might go in even tighter. Erase there, that's much better. There we go. See how I can get that crisp line? The goal is you just want it so that, yeah, that's really nice. So that the viewer wouldn't know what's going on, that it's different. And so getting rid of that little black background, that's why I'm kind of being fastidious, I think is the nice word for it, about this bottom stuff. Oops. So you get the point here, I think, but it's a lot of just kind of going back and forth with that. And then adding it, oops, subtracting it. Okay, you get the point. Anyway, so then I'm going to take that and say that's all good. And now I have it here, and I can actually move it. I can also rotate it, I think. I can make it bigger, which is kind of fun. One thing, if you use two fingers, you can actually like twirl it. One thing you'll notice about this that makes it look kind of funny right now is that it's not the same lighting, right? And that's one of the things I talked about earlier, is like you really want to make sure it's the same light as the other image. So one thing I probably should have done, which I would suggest you do, because this looks pretty hokey, and actually I think we might be able to adjust it after the fact. So let's take a look. But that's the idea, right? So now it's floating. let's go back to this mix layer. Oops. But it doesn't quite convince me. And that lighting's pretty good. I think it's actually upside down with the lighting. So what I want to do is I need to adjust that cube first. So I'm going to go back to Photoshop Fix. And in here, I'm going to actually add a new one. Dismiss. Add, and I'm going to do this. And I'm going to crop everything but the little cube. This will make it easier to cut out, frankly. And then I'm going to also adjust just the exposures. Yeah, because I made mine a little bit warmer. So I need to adjust that. Highlights, there we go. That's looking a lot better. Liquify, I don't need to do any of that. Healing, it looks good. I don't have to heal. Color paint, defocus, vignette. That's all good. Okay, I don't need to do any of that. And now let me bring that back into my mix. I'm gonna actually just delete this layer. Delete, add, image. Whoops. Delete, there we go. Now I have that. Okay. Yeah, already 100%. That looks way better. And I can make it the right size. I can kind of rotate it just a touch. It looks so much better. And the lighting's the right height, which is better. Okay, so what I want to do is cut out. And I'm going to, again, do what we tried to do before. And big. Okay, we're just gonna go with that. The next one, I'll make that a little smaller. And that there. Now my vignette kind of ruined it a little bit, I think. But the idea is working pretty well. I would just say go easy on the vignette. I kind of like it, actually kind of makes it look 3D. But it's a little bit aggressive on that vignette. But that's kind of the idea there. I'm going to crop this though. That'll help. So this final one, just like you would do, I'll crop that. Again, you'll export that, of course, as a picture to your camera. Okay, so sorry that tutorial is probably kind of choppy throughout. I had to cut a whole bunch of stuff just because it wasn't really clean. So surprisingly, that's a lot shorter and hopefully a little bit better than what you would have seen otherwise. Have fun with this. I posted the better one that I made that I just showed in the video, wherever, right there. That's the better one I was able to make. And, you know, again, it took a little more time. And if you have an Apple Pen, it's way better for the editing. The main thing is have fun, experiment, enjoy. You have to upload one example of your magic picture. So I hope that you enjoy it, and I look forward to seeing what you do. Have a good week.